Hello, everyone. Good evening. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to episode 8 of Tech Tuesday. Oh my gosh, episode 8 already. I am very excited for you to meet these wonderful, talented, beautiful, incredible, just insert positive descriptor here, people that are on tonight. But first, we want to hear from you as well. So if you would like to comment / interact with us, if you want to throw compliments at these gentlemen, if you want to ask them questions, if you want to tell me my hair is stuck in my glasses, whatever you want to do, go ahead and go to streamyard.com/Facebook. Link is right down here, and that will give it permission to use your photo and information. So it'll pop up on the screen and it'll be great. So, okay, I should not have the comments up over on the side. I'm so sorry, everyone. Okay, so guests this evening. I know, I've said this before, but when we talk about tech, we don't always necessarily think of the musicians who play in the pit orchestra, which is sad because that is a whole lot of work and it takes a whole lot of talent and practice and skills because I don't know if you knew this, but most people who play in the pit can play more than one thing. Yeah. And we'll tell you why probably during the course of this stream. So before I keep rambling about things, I'm going to introduce these people to you. First up, drum roll please, even though he doesn't play drums, Jesse Williams.
Hello.
Hello, Jesse. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
I'm glad I could be here.
I am too. How's it
I
going?
love that. I'm great. I love the theme song.
Right. Tony wrote that. Tony Mitchell, our producer. So
Nice.
he is also an incredibly talented human being. So next up, we're going to bring out our second guest here. Drum roll, please. He is also not a drummer. Educator and freelance trombonist, Craig Freeman.
I had a swivel chair. I figured I'd do that.
that was great. Hi, Craig. How's it going?
It's going great. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to talk to you today.
Thanks for being here. And last but not least, drum roll, please. And sometimes he does play drums. Everyone, Cameron Taylor. Oh, I'm sorry. Did we startle you?
Well, I didn't know something was happening. It's just strange that I have these earphones in too. It's weird. Hey guys.
Hey Cam, how's it going?
All right. I'm glad to be here.
Well, thank you all so much for being on Tech Tuesday tonight. I am just laughing excessively right now, and I'm so sorry. My cheeks already hurt a little bit. So I'm gonna start right out here. I guess tell us a little bit about yourselves. I know this isn't a question I sent you ahead of time, so you don't have to if you don't want to. But yeah, tell us a little bit about yourselves. Who wants to start? Craig, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll start. My name is Craig, as you already know. Yeah, I'm a trombonist and educator, freelance musician. As a lot of musicians today, I wear a lot of different hats, and I've adapted a lot. So I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, and I came to Kalamazoo for graduate school, and was fortunate to study with a lot of great teachers, musicians, and after I graduated, I formed a trio, with a brass trio with some of my friends, and got to know this awesome Kalamazoo music scene. You know, I kind of pictured I'd be in like a big city or something like that, and I really fell in love with the art scene in Kalamazoo, and was lucky enough to get in at Farmers Alley and got into playing in pits, which I just love. We talk a lot about that a little bit later, but Yeah, I'm currently teaching and not doing a lot of performing because of Corona, but talk about other things I'm doing a little bit later. But yeah, I'm just happy to be a part of this really rich music community. There's so many great things in the arts going on, and I am now interwoven into that.
Well, I know that I am very glad to have gotten to work with you, and I feel like actually kind of the three of you. So I am what I sometimes refer to as a pit groupie, um, because when I'm working on shows, and there's a pit orchestra, I have a habit of like that's who I hang out. I don't hang out with the cast. I hang out with the pit. And I don't know why that is. I'm sure there's some sort of psychological something we could unpack there, but I'm a pit groupie, and so I'm very excited to have the three of you chatting tonight. Um, so, all right, Jesse, how about you?
Well, I play primarily clarinet. I teach at the Crescendo Academy of Music. I've managed to keep a small roster of students even over the lockdown. Performing, yeah, I do like you too, a little bit of everything. Some orchestral work, pit work wherever I can find it. A small jazz band with two of the guys you know, Mark Tomlinson and Andy Niblo, two pit orchestra regulars. So yeah, that's about it for my story here. I grew up in Southeast Alaska, but I've been here for the last 15, 16 years. So.
All right, how did you get involved with Farmers Alley?
My first full show was I Love a Piano. But before that, I had substituted for a weekend for, actually, it was the same as Cindy, the same show she started, She Loved Me. So,
Okay.
yeah, my first gig there, I got to climb up onto the dressing room and then up onto the ledge, haul a saxophone up and a clarinet.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but Jesse is one of those people who plays a lot of different instruments, and you may have seen in the copy, like the description that I wrote for this, I may or may not have called him Jesse. If it has a reed, he can probably play it Williams.
Almost entirely true. If it has only one reed, if it's two reeds, you do not want
Okay.
it playing it. It will be a
Sorry.
disaster.
All right. So you don't want Jesse to play bassoon, but you know.
Right. Or oboe. Yeah, that would be,
Or oboe. It's true. Jesse and Cam and well, Craig is too, but outside of music too.
So much.
So Cam, tell us about yourself and how did you get involved with Farmers Alley?
Well, let's see. So I'm originally from Oakland, California, but I've spent the vast majority of my life here in Kalamazoo. I started playing piano when I was 4, guitar when I was 7, clarinet at 10, would pretty much play clarinet all the way up until high school and decided I didn't want to march clarinet. So I switched to percussion. And so I ended up going through that, got involved with the drum corps scene, marching band, taught that for a long time, played in bands for years and years and years. But music theater wise, I started playing in shows. I'm not going to date myself. Well, I'll say in high school, but but it also kind of brings me back to how I got involved with Farmers Alley Theater, which was through Catherine Walker, because the first show that I did with her at Farmers Alley was A Man of No Importance, so which was a blast to play. And so, yeah, that's kind of my dig. I've got a day job working at a financial institution, and yeah, not really gigging a whole lot because you really can't at the moment. So
Yeah. Craig, how did you get involved with Farmers Alley? What was your first show? Who roped you in?
I was subbing for one of my friends. I think I was still in graduate school. This is my second year of graduate school, and I subbed for someone on Urinetown, and I fell in love with playing in the pit. And it's such a fun book to play. It's a lot of klezmer stuff, and as a trombone player, I don't see a lot of doubling. So this book called for euphonium, tuba, and trombone, and I got to play more than one instrument, and it was a blast. I really loved that show.
That's awesome. So do you have a favorite show that you've played, or like a top 3, or like a couple of favorites?
Yeah, it's hard to narrow down. I really liked Urinetown. That has to be in my top 3 just because that was like my first like professional pit experience, and the production value was, I mean, the last musical I played in was in high school, and there's the distinct difference between a professional level pit and a high school production, and there are a lot of factors that go into that. But I remember being blown away at how professional everything was, and the quality of the musicians, the quality of singers, the actors, everyone behind the scenes. Like, it was just like, oh my gosh, like this is really serious. Why did they pick me? Yeah, so definitely Urinetown is up there. It's such a fun show. Spamalot is probably up there as well. Probably tied between those two. I'm a huge Monty Python fan, so I mean, I have to. There's so many. That was probably a great show for just interaction, and there were lots of people who knew all the references and everything. And I think you don't even have to be a Monty Python fan to get all the humor there, but it was just it was so much fun. And again, a great pit with a lot of awesome musicians and like a really, really fun book to play. So yeah, yeah, I could go on. Though I'm gonna stick with those two.
Spamalot is one of my favorite shows that I've ever worked on too. What about you, Cam? Do you have a favorite, a couple favorites?
Well, okay, I'm a little biased, and typically with these, I mean, it happens because, you know, guitar players get to pick guitar-centric shows. So, like for me, for shows that I've played on that I've absolutely loved, like Superstar is one of my all-time favorite shows to play. It's a blast. The show, I mean, everybody knows the songs. I mean, it's a production I've done a bunch of different times at different theaters. It's a blast. So I always enjoy that one. Let's be honest, I got to wear the coolest wig ever when I got to do Rock of Ages. So that one's kind of a big one up. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So
look at that right there. Just shredding.
Yeah. I mean, but legit, to be able to play out that 80s hair metal, yeah, let's bring that back. To really kind of, you know, to do that 80s hair metal fantasy thing, like, I mean, that glam rock, and, you know, it was so much fun to play. Like, it could just really just be over the top ridiculous and just have a great time with that. And then I'd say the show that I've done the most that I still love and pretty much will always say yes to is Rocky Horror. I mean, it's a fun show to play, and it's, you know, I've had a chance to play with so many cool musicians through that show, and I played it on multiple instruments and finally got to music direct it for the first time. So that was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Savannah had a question for you guys. I think she said, if you could only ever play one show for the rest of your career, what would it be? So I'm going to say, Jesse, what are your favorite shows that you've ever done while you guys sort of...
Yeah, it's hard to pick one. So my top 3. And The World Goes Round, which we did a few years ago at Farmers Alley, was just so much fun to play. I didn't get a break. I'm playing front to back busy the whole time. Really well written, great songs, all catchy. I just loved it. Crazy for You for the same reason. For as a reed player, that kind of 40s Gershwin big band jazz style was so much fun to play. And my other one, and this answers the next question, Spam-A-Lot, but not at Farmers Alley. I played it just this past year over at Portage Northern High School, and man, those kids were amazing. The timing was comic timing. The whole thing was just phenomenal, front to back. When you can get the pit to just bust up laughing throughout the show, night after night, you are doing something right. On top of that, the songs are just so much fun. There's klezmer, there's jazz, there's a little bit of everything.
I've got to agree with Jesse and say Spam-A-Lot that's got to be my number one. It's just the music is so good, and I think a lot of times I'll either be leaning towards like, oh, the music is really great, but I really didn't connect with the show as much. Like that show has everything, and the humor and the comedy, it's got it all. So yeah, without question, Spam-A-Lot forever.
I think Spam-A-Lot's probably my answer too. Cam, what about you? Do you have one that you?
Yeah, that's tough. Like seriously, it's tough. I don't know. There's shows that I don't know. It would probably either be Rocky or Rock of Ages. I would be like legit like, okay, cool. I get to play the show again, and I get to be crazy again. Like it's super fun. So yeah, I'd say probably one or the other.
So good. I love Rock of Ages too. That's such a great show.
If I get to wear the wig, I would do Rock of Ages.
See, don't knock the wig, man. It changes you.
I'm expecting.
I don't need any more.
Yeah.
We can make that happen. Had I known, I would have mailed you guys all wigs.
Please.
I'll be right back.
You could have just.
Seriously, don't tempt me.
So, do you guys have any good stories from the pit, like oh crap moments or like scary things that happen, or Cam is laughing.
That's part of being in the pit, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cam.
It's just like being on stage. You have to know what to improvise sometimes.
Well, there's some things that where some things that happen in the pit stay in the pit. That's
fair.
That's code. It's good things. But there's also things that you didn't imagine you would ever see happen in a pit. Where it also it speaks to flexibility of musicians as well. Because we had a particular show. Oklahoma, in fact, at the Civic, where our bass player was not feeling well, and just prior to intermission, maybe was feeling so well, or not feeling so well enough that he had to handle the situation. He vomited. Let's just say that. So, of course you feel awful for the person in the moment because, clearly they're not feeling well, but also everyone else is in the pit going, so yeah, that just happened. Okay. So after we were able to extricate him from the pit, at that point I ended up having to, because that show was guitar and banjo that I was playing for that, but now we lose your bass player. And when you lose the bass in a pit, I'd say pretty much everybody knows. You notice it pretty immediately. So I ended up having to basically split a couple more banjo things here and there, but pretty much read the bass book for the rest of that show. So that was pretty interesting. Poor Russell.
Oh.
We're supposed to say his name.
What? I didn't say his name, Russell. What?
We love you, Russell.
We do. We love Russell.
I have nothing quite that dramatic. I did have, and I can't for the life of me. It was one of the Bernstein shows. It was either Western. It was on the town at Western back in the day. I had octave key just snap on my bass clarinet, just right in the middle of the show. The thing just snapped apart. And that's a busy reed book. Like Leonard Bernstein does not go easy on anyone, particularly the reeds. So there I am with like 8 measures before my entrance. I found some tape off the pit floor. I used a pencil, a broken reed, and there was a toothpick. It was like MacGyver. I MacGyvered, for any of you kids listening, MacGyver is a TV show from the 1900s. I MacGyvered my bass clarinet in 8 measures.
Oh my gosh.
Hardly any vomiting that time.
My story doesn't involve vomit; involves blood.
Excellent.
It was cabaret, and the in intermission we decided to go outside and get some fresh air, and I somehow managed to trip and hit my head and almost pass out. I come to, and I'm bleeding, and of course I fall on my face, the one part of my body I need to play the trombone. And I come back and my lip is, like this big. And our music director, Cindy, was like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" I was like, I'm fine. I'll be able to play. It's fine. Don't worry." Yeah, I couldn't get one lip into my mouthpiece, let alone 2. So I hit my head, so I wasn't sure if I had a concussion. So yeah, she drove me to the hospital, drove back. They did the second half, and I was at the hospital with a potential concussion. Good stories, good times, but
oh my gosh.
Yeah, clumsy Craig.
Well, we're glad you're okay.
Yeah.
Did you end up with a concussion?
I don't know. I can't remember. Does that mean I have one?
That might be.
No,
Savannah just asked here to ask Jessie about being her lightboard op for Tommy.
Right. Yeah, I saw. I started off just, typical lightboard operator, listen, wait, push the button. And very slowly, the area around the lightboard started to look like the orchestra pit. I eventually ended up having the score in front of me for 2 songs, 2, maybe 3, I don't remember. So we worked out specific hits to change the light cue so it would match up with the score, which was, it was half piano, half lightboard.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I mean, that kind of is especially when you have such a like a rock show and something that is going to have so many light cues in it, like Tommy. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like that's.
Yeah, there were so many cues in that
lightboard,
show.
Like 700 cues in it.
And that was my first show not being in the pit, aside from my brief 2-line role in the 7th grade play. So yeah, it was fun to see this whole other end of a production going on, and then the musicians show up and like, who are you all?
Hey, we're just here to play some stuff. Like, thanks, guys.
Show up, rock out, and leave. And yeah, they all made that. To make it look so easy. Come in, play, and go. It was.
I feel like that's a T-shirt. Show up, rock out, leave.
It should be.
Somebody make those. Somebody out there. That idea is set free now. It's for you. So I know, Craig, that you sort of mentioned this earlier. But I kind of wanted to ask you guys more specifically about it, since I know that you and Jesse are both educators. The difference between playing in a professional pit like at Farmers Alley versus playing in a high school pit where you're sitting, right next to a high school student who plays the same instrument as you. What are the big differences there? Like, what is that? How does that change how you do your job? Does it change how you do your job?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think a lot of it has to do with the director and the expectation that's set. I think, as in all situations, the expectation is as high as it can be for that situation. And in a professional setting, the expectation is high because that's your job. You're there to play the right notes in the right order on time. And if you don't, you're not doing your job. At the high school level, it's a little bit different. Your expectation is just as high, especially with all the great high school musicians that we have in this area. Technically speaking, a lot of instances you won't be able to tell the difference. And as far as the sound, I will say the one thing that I have noticed is the difference between professional musicians and students still working to get there is how quickly you react and fix mistakes. Mistakes will happen. It's part of live performance. How quickly you respond to those mistakes is the true measure of someone who's on it. And I've been in situations where I've stepped in a rest and had Cindy's in the chat. Cindy is the music director in town, and she's great about if you make a mistake, you will hear about it in the notes. It could be one note that you come in on the and you're come in on the wrong beat. She's on it. And so that goes back to just having an extremely high expectation. But I feel like most professional musicians recognize that and make those changes in their book, and it doesn't happen again. One of the great things about some of the relationships we have with different theaters in Kalamazoo is a lot of high school musicians can sit alongside some of these professional musicians and learn what it's like to mark up a book and get experience in preparing them. So when they are in these situations, they're not just thrown into it blind. My first experience with Farmers Alley was kind of thrown into it blind, and luckily I faked my way through it. But it's great having a mentor and someone to kind of guide you through those experiences. And we have a lot of really great opportunities for students to learn and grow.
Yeah, we absolutely do. I mean, I know that you said this earlier, and I've said this before, but man, Kalamazoo, like, for a place this size, there is a lot here.
There is, and I'd have to agree with Craig. Yeah, I couldn't have summed that up any better than Craig. I mean, there are some pretty amazing student musicians, and the last couple of pits that I did at Portage Northern, I actually got to be in the pit with my student. So another bonus, they get to see me in work mode, just royally messing things up left and right, slowly bringing it all together. You get to see the process. It's good for them. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they all step up. I mean, no one in this town half-asses theater, even the high schools. It's pretty amazing.
It's true. It's very true. Cam, is there anything you want to add?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I mean, things have definitely changed. Being a product of Port Central, almost things. I started playing in pits when I was in high school, but and I've been lucky to work with some of the best directors I've ever worked with, and Catherine Walker and Cindy Hunter, phenomenal. And I've learned so much working from them, working with them, but also knowing that, like, the first professional gig that I did, like playing in an orchestra pit, I was 15 years old, playing bass for Into the Woods at the Civic. Like, looking around, just going, wait, I guess I belong here. I guess I'm supposed to be here. Because of somebody like Catherine, who said, no, you can do this. You can do this. And that's what I've seen from the directors that I've worked with in town, where they find the people that do a phenomenal job of mentoring them. Now, it's not very often that I will get a guitar student that I can work with, just because just not a lot of books that really call for it anymore. But with percussion gigs that I play as well, that's where I usually have more of an opportunity to be able to mentor students on that side of things. So it's always a fun opportunity to kind of put yourself back in those shoes and go, like, man, if I was this little kid looking at this book going, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here at all. That's the pleasure. That's the fun in doing those high school shows, because not only are you doing this amazing production, but guess what? That student just walked away with, like, oh yeah, I don't feel nervous about this at all. I know how this works now. And just to get that opportunity to educate on that level, where they get a practical experience like that, is phenomenal. And that doesn't get to happen a whole lot. So I'm really thankful that I get to be able to do that from time to time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always feel like whenever I have a stage management or a lighting student that I get to work with, and I, like, as you watch them grow through the process, like getting to the end of the process, it's always very cool because I feel like I'm pretty good at my job, but it's always cool when I can, like, look at a 17-year-old and say, you're going to be better than me at this someday. And that's awesome.
That's the whole point.
I love that feeling. It is. It's the whole point. I love that feeling so much. Oh, okay. That just made me feel really good, you guys.
Goosebumps.
So,
that's a great point.
So outside of teaching, or including teaching, what else have you guys done with your skills, with your like touring and recording sessions, and like what sort of is, I don't know how to ask this question really, because I don't know what the answer is. What else do you guys do with your musical gifts?
Lots of crying alone,
We save that for our alone time, Craig. We don't let them know about that. Oh my God.
I think I'm probably repeating myself, but yeah, as a musician, someone who aims to do this professionally, you have to be adaptable and versatile and flexible, and that's something I've frankly learned the hard way. But you you can't just do one thing. Trombone is great, but not everyone in the world wants trombone, sadly.
They're lost, man. They're lost.
So yeah, kind of doubling down on your weaknesses to make them strengths, and making yourself more marketable is good. That being said, yeah, I've taken advantage of our awesome art scene and delved into lots of other projects. I've had I mentioned my brass trio that I played with, Kalamazoo Brass Collective, and we were local musicians that kind of were around the same place at the same time. That turned into playing with other artists in town, and I've been playing in a blues band with my friend Bob. So there's lots and lots of musical opportunities in town. So that's one thing I do. I also am on the Freeway Philharmonic, as we call it. So subbing around with, with different orchestras.
Okay.
And then,
I was like, wait, what is that? I've never heard of that. Okay, got it.
it's an industry term.
Hold on, I'm taking notes.
But yeah, so I've been fortunate to play with some orchestras in the area as well. So that in addition, good.
I have something that I want to brag about you for. So I don't know how many of you out there have heard of there's this really famous singer. What's her name again? So Craig got to play with Aretha Franklin.
So cool.
When she came to Grand Rapids a few years ago.
Yeah, I was all the other trombonists in the area were called, and I was last on the list, so it still counts.
It does. It absolutely counts.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was awesome. I think again, like it speaks to the art scene that we have in the area. It's so great to be part of it, and a lot of my experience playing in pits prepared me for that moment. It's definitely the most high profile gig I've ever done, and as the quote just said, my life has been meaningless ever since. But yeah, you show up and there's a book like that thick, and you read the entire book down, and they're like, okay, we'll see you in an hour and we'll play the show. And that's kind of, Craig, before playing all these shows and having these experiences in the pit and getting these opportunities to play with great musicians, that was a really daunting task. So I was able to rise to the occasion and enjoy the moment. Yeah, it was, my family was there. They got to see me. I grew up on her music, so having my family there was really big, and I'm beyond fortunate to have done that. It was an awesome time.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I have a fun fact / brag about Jesse over here, because probably if I could do this, I would have done this already. So Jesse played in a polka band in Alaska before moving to Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
And that just sounds like so much fun.
It was a lot of fun. I kind of wish I was doing that now.
All right, here's a call out. Musicians of Kalamazoo.
We need a polka band. Mostly, I'm not kidding either. I'll totally start a polka band. We need a good accordionist. If you know a good accordionist, that's really the key.
Mm.
I got someone for you.
Nice.
There we go. Making connection.
I'm telling you, seriously, musicians network. Somebody knows somebody.
Well, and again, it was similar to Kalamazoo. This was in Juneau, Alaska, town of like 30-some thousand, tiny little town, amazing arts community. So I was able to keep busy there, surprisingly, in the polka band, in a little folk instrumental quartet, which was what the polka band was built onto, the symphony orchestra, the big band. Like I kept busy there, which was good, especially in the winter in Alaska.
The music will keep you warm.
It will.
Ooh.
And Cindy is offering to learn accordion.
Wow.
All right, let's do it. Let's take it on the road.
That's the most stressful work. True.
Yeah.
You're a caricature of yourself, Jesse.
Really am. My own parody.
Well, I've got something to brag about here for Cam too, because we can't leave anyone out on Tech Tuesday. So Cam has played guitar, bass, and music directed Rocky Horror. And he's appeared on stage as a performer and musician for Rock of Ages, Man of No Importance, Bridges of Madison County, The Buddy Holly Story, and Jesus Christ Superstar.
Ooh.
That is a lot of big shows.
It was, it was pretty crazy. In fact, I got to say, I was really surprised with the last time that we did Superstar was at Western, and we were out on stage, and I in fact opened the whole show, which I was like, when I found that out, I was like, oh, well, all right. Did not know that was going to happen, but it was a lot of fun. But yeah, there's been a couple of different shows, especially like Man of No Importance, where it was like, oh, like Pitt hanging out, whatever. And then the song Our Father, they're like, no, so you're going to be playing a hand drum and you're going to be out on stage for the opening, or, for the opening of the second act. I was like, oh, okay, well, so
Here we
same
go.
thing. Yeah, so I've had to appear, in costume as well, which is not very often. Pit musicians end up on stage in costume as well. So that was pretty interesting. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool. Savannah had a question here. What instrument or instruments, plural, would you like to play that you don't already play?
French horn.
I have one. I'll drop it on your porch later. You can borrow it.
You want to trade?
Oh God, no! You don't want me to play a reed instrument.
I would probably want to play. I'd say drums. It's so time consuming to learn other instruments, and I just haven't had the patience for for drums. But Cam, do you know someone that can give me some drum lessons?
I mean, I feel like we know a couple of people that could probably hook you up.
Okay.
No, sorry, I had this eye twitch. It's weird. No, I've been lucky to be able to with guitar and bass and drums and keys and all that kind of fun stuff. The one thing that I've never really been able to get a handle on is brass. I mouth goes on, mouth stop. It just doesn't work. So it's I'd always love to figure out how brass. I would love to be able to play like cello and things like that. Like just I can't bow. I have no bow technique at all. So I would love to be able to add that to something that I could do as well.
So basically, we want to trade places with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, pretty much.
You can do a lesson swap.
Yep.
You can do a lesson swap. That'll be
100%. Be all over that. I don't have a drum studio right now to set up my kit, but you got a space on it.
You can start with sticks and a pad anyway, right?
That's
I
true.
mean, you know he's got rhythm. He's already a professional musician.
Indeed. We'll hit up Dave Van Haren. I know he's been doing videos on YouTube, so he must have somewhere to set up his drums. So
Awesome.
So I wanted to ask you guys, do you guys have any favorite jokes about your primary instrument?
What's the rating on this thing?
PG-13. We can go PG-13. I know you play the trombone. I know that. Low-hanging fruit, Craig. Come on.
I couldn't come up with a lot of clarinet jokes, but a classic one is, how many clarinetists does it take to turn on a light bulb? One. But we have to buy a box of light bulbs and just search through the whole thing just for the right one.
all right, that's a new one. I hadn't heard that one.
That's a joke about reeds, by the way. If anyone out there
we complain about all of our reeds, and none of them work. They're all the worst, especially in Michigan weather.
I guess you could. This is a joke. You can plug your own instrument you dislike into it, but I've often been the recipient of this one. Is how do you get a trombone player off of your porch. You're paying for the pizza. Sad but true. Sad but true.
Oh goodness. And
What about you, Kim?
So it offends me on multiple levels, but even a joke has some kernel of truth to it. But sadly, how do you get a guitarist to shut up? Put sheet music in front of him. Which I take umbrage with, but I wish I could say that I haven't had to deal with that experience previously. So I'll leave it at that.
Cam, you might take umbrage with this one I have for you too. How do you know someone's a really good guitarist?
I don't know. They'll tell you.
I was going to say, oh, they'll tell you.
Yeah. Oh my Lord. Yeah, I've heard that one.
All right, Jesse. What's the difference between a mouse and a clarinet?
Do I want to know?
You can't hear a mouse squeak over the entire orchestra.
Oh, totally true, though. Especially if it's
All right. All right, Craig. This one's for you. How do you make $1 million playing the trombone?
Oh man. How?
You start with 2 million.
Oh,
Brutal.
that's cruel. That's cruel.
This is a roast all of a sudden, Carrie.
I just look, you guys. I just appreciate you all being here so much. Thanks, Savannah. Shots fired. You know what?
Luckily, none of us play viola.
I
don't know. Is there a punchline, or is viola the joke?
There's a lot of viola, but once again, you can plug in any instrument. So how do you get a viola or a clarinet to play quietly? You mark solo.
Right.
Oh, I like that one too.
brutal.
So is there anything that you guys want to share? Like anything else you guys want to share before we start to wrap this up? I know Jesse is teaching lessons, virtual lessons right now. So if anyone out there is interested, you can find him at Crescendo. So that's crescendoacademy.com.
Right. There we go. Down there.
And viola is definitely the joke.
Yes. Brandon gets
Jesse
it.
also has a concert coming up. Which in this day and age is. We're counting this my only 2 public appearances probably until next summer, really. And unless you have us back on for a Where Are They Now episode. Season 2 of that Tuesday. I'd come back. I'll get back to you on that one.
So it's my band it's a 5-piece. We do 20s through 40s jazz, the Somewhere in Time band. And again, the 2 other guys, all of you in the theater community know, Mark Tomlinson is our bassist, Annie Nibbler is our drummer. We have John Speeder and Paul Franklin. They both play guitar. John does mandolin, and Paul also doubles on violin. I'm there as vocal reeds and a little bit of guitar, but not much. It's fun. So we're at Good Times at the Gazebo in Allegan this Saturday at 7:00.
Awesome. So everyone, make sure you check that out. Wear a mask, stay socially distanced, make good choices.
Another t-shirt.
Craig, you're teaching lessons as well, right?
I do, yeah. I have my own private trombone lesson studio and been making that work. I also teach for Kalamazoo Kids in Tune, and that's a joy to share my love of music with a lot of our kids in Kalamazoo. That's been a blast. And yeah, trying to get myself new projects to stay focused. I work best on deadlines, so maybe I'll try and learn the drums or something like that.
Oh, and Cam, what about you? Are you working on anything? Anything you want to share? Anything else you wanna say?
No, I mean, you know, I've got my day gig. I guess the one thing that has been, I will say, nice in so much is that when you don't have gigs, it gives you a little bit more free time to do things. So it's been nice to get outside with Savannah and going out and doing. I think it pretty much every nature preserve on Southwest Michigan Land Conservancy's website so far, which is something that I could not have said. You know, last year, literally across the street from where I'm at is, you know, Bow in the Clouds Nature Preserve, and I've never had a chance to actually go and walk over there and get outside. So it's been really nice this summer. I mean, you know, of course, it's been brutally awful to not be able to play music like my summer is usually full, but to be able to spend time with her and to get outside and you know, see nature and, you know, expend some energy outside has been really nice. So that's been one pleasing thing I could say about the summer. But yeah, it's been awful to not to be with my friends and to be able to play music. So that's been a bummer.
Yeah. So I repeat, everyone, wear a mask.
Right.
Social distant. Be socially distant. I can't English. Make good choices so that those of us who work in the arts have jobs to come back to. I laugh because I'm sad. So I wanted.
That's a T-shirt, by the way.
I laugh because I'm sad.
Yeah.
There's another idea for someone out there. Well, I want to say thank you to. This is our last episode of Tech Tuesday, so I wanted to say thank you to the man who has produced all of these. He was a guest on one of them, and that is Tony Mitchell. And I'm actually going to invite him out here for a second because he has started his own company, and I would love for him to share that with all of you. So, hey, Tony.
Hey, what's up?
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
yeah,
Tony.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. It's always great working with all of you guys. Everyone who's been on the show has had such great wisdom to talk about outside of just like theater. But I think all of us like in art can agree that like doing what we do comes from not just playing music or doing sound design. It comes from our desire to just do art. It's just like a kind of a part of us. So and we kind of shine a light of like, because it's a part of us, it's a part of life. And everyone else is living their life, and it kind of relates and connects in all these different ways. So it's really great hearing all of you talk about your experiences and your hard work or your like, I don't know, embarrassments. Like I think the embarrassments we have in our craft are what makes us who we are. Like those mistakes. It's all improvised. It's every like the mistakes are the definition to crafting gold, you know, like they really are. So yeah, it's great working with all of you. I did start a new company. It's called Texture House. It's me and my best friend Paul, my bandmate, and we're making art with people like you. So we're helping people like you and other people create video and audio content that goes out to everyone. So yeah. So
the website is live tomorrow.
It is live tomorrow, probably around 3. It will, yeah, midday. Our stats are, social media says 3 o'clock's the time, so 3 o'clock's the time.
You got to follow that algorithm.
Follow the algorithm. Do not go against the grain.
Well, thank you, Tony, so much for being the best producer for Tech Tuesday and guest and sound designer and
but
everything.
Let's thank you, Carrie, for doing all of this. Like you are the facilitator. You've been asking the right questions. You've been asking the right questions the whole time. So it's been great watching you kind of like grow from the first episode to this one. And yeah.
Well, thanks. I feel like you came on here and did my job better than me. So you probably should have been the host.
I'm leaving. Goodbye. You guys are great. You're all great.
Deuces.
That was just a
So-
compliment war.
Right?
I know, right? I feel like Tony and I tend to do that also, just in our lives, like via text. We're like, I appreciate you so much. Like, you're so great. You're keeping me sane. Oh my gosh, I love you. Like, that's just how we talk to each other. So yeah, thank you everyone for tuning into our last episode of Tech Tuesday, or watching it later because this stays on the internet. So you can find it on Farmers Alley's social media. It's on Facebook and YouTube, and it'll be on Instagram TV up in a few hours probably. So yeah, please, if you're watching this later, I guess let us know in the comments too. If like, follow, subscribe. That's what the kids say.
Smash that like button.
Right.
Smash that like button.
And I'm sorry, Russell, if you see this, I apologize.
What was that? What was that, Cam?
I may have said something about apologizing to Russell, and I'm sorry for telling that story.
That's we've all had those moments in our life. So real quick, coming up next on Farmers Alley at Home on Sunday at 8 p.m., we have Broadway Battles Championship Edition. So make sure you tune in to find out who is the ultimate champion Broadway Battles. We also, next Thursday, the 27th at 8 p.m., we have a very special Pass the Mic episode of Koch Corner that will, in fact, not be hosted by Jeremy Koch, but by our friend Dwight Trice. So make sure you tune in for that conversation as well. It's going to be really, really great. So yeah, thank you guys again for hanging out with me on this Tuesday, and sharing some pearls of wisdom and some gross and not gross stories, and just for for making the faces that all three of you are making right now, because it warms my heart.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
This has been awesome.
Agreed, Carrie. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Right.
having us.
Thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.